Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you are watching Boyd News. I want to kindly ask you if you could please smash that like button on this video. I would really appreciate it. It helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm and it helps bring new viewers in so more people can see this video just like you. And also, if you're enjoying, please hit the subscribe button so that way you can get notified whenever we put out new videos and you'll know right away whenever we put them out. So thank you very much. I want to go over a major breaking news story. It looks like the Swedish defense minister put out a warning to all the citizens of Sweden to let them know to prepare for war and basically to not be at peace anymore. In a way, he doesn't want to worry people, but he wants them to be prepared for war with Russia. This is World War III, guys. It is building up. You can see, all the puzzle pieces coming together. We have Sweden joining NATO very soon, more than likely by July. I just got word that Turkey is they're one of the last hurdles for Sweden joining NATO, and it looks like Turkey is going to agree over the next couple weeks to allow Sweden to join NATO. So more than likely by the NATO summit in July, we should see Sweden joining. So let's go ahead and get into this article here so you guys can be aware of this. Okay, Swedish officials are warning their citizens to be readier than ever in case of war. In May 2022, Sweden and Finland, known for their neutrality, announced that they would join NATO in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine earlier that year. While Finland officially joined the alliance in April 2023, Sweden's bid to join faced obstacles when Turkish President Erdogan criticized the nation's alleged inaction against Islamophobia, calling it a red line. Hungary has also expressed concerns about Swedish membership. So Erdogan later gave his approval for Sweden's NATO accession, though the Turkish Grand National Assembly still needs to give it the green light. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said late last year that his country was in no hurry to approve Sweden's bid. So that's right. So Hungary as well is also a hurdle for Sweden. But it looks like pretty soon Turkey will be giving in and allowing Sweden to join. So, however, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told German news agency DPA last week that Sweden has made all necessary concessions, predicting that the country will be approved at NATO's 32nd member as NATO's 32nd member by its next summit set for July in Washington, D.C. So, yes, by July, we should see Sweden joining. With Sweden's entry into the alliance, it would boost NATO's regional impact, giving all five Nordic nations near total control of NATO Lake, a reference of the strategic importance of the Baltic Sea. Military air power provided to NATO on Sweden's behalf would be a challenge to Russian forces in the sea. So here's a little bit about what the Swedish defense minister was saying during his speech. So, for a nation for whom peace has been a pleasant companion for almost 210 years, the idea that it is an immovable constant is conveniently close at hand. The Swedish Defense Minister Carl Oskar Bolin said Sunday during an annual conference in Sälen, a village on the country's eastern side. That's in Sweden. So he went on to say, but taking comfort in this conclusion has become more dangerous than it has been for a very long time, he continued. Many have said it before me, but let me do so in an official capacity, more plainly and with naked clarity. There could be war. So there could be war in Sweden, is what he was saying. So he also issued the same warning during his own speech on Monday in Sälen. He said the wars in Ukraine and Middle East indicated that the world has become more dangerous than it was just a year ago. Yes, so definitely, wars are expanding throughout the world. And then we have NATO expanding as well, and that's only going to make tensions worse, especially with Russia, because Russia is not happy that nearly almost their entire border. I'm going to show you guys in just a minute on the NATO map, but almost the entire border of NATO or of Russia on the western side is basically covered by NATO, and that's why, as well, that Putin went into Ukraine because they were talking a lot. NATO was talking a lot about taking Ukraine into NATO as well, and Russia doesn't want to allow that because Ukraine is incredibly close to Moscow as well. So that would allow NATO to set up, all kinds of missiles and systems in Ukraine and allow them to hit Moscow directly. And um, Putin wants that buffer zone. He doesn't want NATO to move in. So that's why we're also seeing this war in Ukraine. So I also wanted to go over as well that this is not the first time that a NATO member or just, countries in Europe in general are preparing for war. That's how we know that a war is eventually at some point going to break out, probably in the next 5 years or so. World War III will break out and it'll start in Europe. Is because, we also have the Netherlands, excuse me, just back in December, we had the Netherlands, the Dutch commander in chief. He was also stating that the countries should prepare for war. And then we also had, back in December of 2023, we also had the German defense minister as well warning the European Union to prepare for war. So this is multiple countries that are stating, hey, we got to get ready for this because there's a war coming. So World War III is building up. It takes time for these things to happen. It's not going to happen overnight like people think. We're not just going to start lobbing nuclear missiles at each other. It's not going to happen like that. This is going to be a slow build up to World War III, and it's going to take some time and certain things to happen before NATO gets involved. And then before NATO's involved, that's when we'll have World War III completely breaking out because that'll bring all these countries in all at the same time. Um, Also, we had just back last year, in the last 6 months, we've had Finland closing their border. We had Estonia over the last few months installing Dragon's Teeth. That's anti-tank obstacles that they've been placing in the roads along the border of Russia as well, to stop tanks and heavy weaponry from moving in, just in case the Baltics get attacked. There's just been a lot going on here, and you can tell that there's this slow build up to World War III. And with these countries coming out, especially the ones that are just joining NATO, like that should be a very obvious sign right there that war is going to come eventually, and probably in the near future, sooner or later. So I did want to go over this NATO map for you guys as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So all these countries here that are kind of highlighted in that like a light blue color, these are all NATO nations here. So as you can see here, Sweden is not a NATO member yet, but eventually they will be. And if you look along the whole stretch of border here with Russia, you can see that almost the entire and for sure more than half of the border is covered now by NATO. Especially now that they just got Finland, they got this huge section up here where they can take advantage of all this land, and now they're going to have control of the Baltic Sea and everything. And then we do have Kaliningrad right here stuck in the middle. This is actually Russian territory right here. Um, so yeah, as you can see, I see why Putin went into Ukraine as well, because they were planning on trying to get Ukraine into NATO. And imagine if they got Ukraine as well, how much Ukraine sticks into Russia and how close just Kiev is to Moscow. It's really not that far away, and they could easily install long range weapons here and strike Moscow. And Putin doesn't want that. So they want this buffer zone right here to keep NATO back, and Putin was saying that he wanted NATO to stay back, and NATO for the longest time we agreed that we were going to stay back, and then as the war in Ukraine started, that forced a lot of countries nearby like Finland and Sweden they were afraid of being attacked just like Ukraine was, and they had to make a decision. We either join the protection of NATO or we stay neutral, and at some point, Russia could attack them too, and if they get attacked, they will suffer the same consequences that Ukraine is suffering. Ukraine doesn't have NATO's backing. They have their weapons and supplies to come in, but they don't have the backing of the militaries, and that's what Finland and Sweden were worried about. So now that we have Sweden joining here pretty soon, it's only going to create more tensions. It's only going to bring us closer to World War III. And you can see the lines being drawn here. I mean, look at this, guys. It's a very definitive line, especially if Ukraine ends up joining at some point. I don't think that'll happen unless the war in Ukraine ends, but it doesn't look like the war in Ukraine is going to end without Russia completely, taking over majority of Ukraine, or maybe even all of it. Who knows if Ukraine, declares defeat? That could happen too. So, I'm going to go ahead and keep an eye on these stories here, because we're having a lot of countries, especially NATO members, that are warning of World War III. And a lot of people are thinking that World War III is not going to happen. And then, something happens in Ukraine or down in Israel. And then we're worried and thinking something's going to happen, but then nothing's really happening. Nothing too major other than some bombings and stuff like that going on, but nothing actually drawing us into war is going on at the moment. But it could happen. We never know. We could wake up one day and it could be a completely different world we're living in. So just make sure you're prepared. Make sure you got things that you need. Your supply, your basic supplies. Make sure you got some food and water and extra things like that, just in case anything like this happens. Because there's more and more warnings coming out every single day, and we need to be aware of these things. So that's why I'm putting out these videos for you guys, so that way you're aware of it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. And again, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I will see you guys all in the next one. I'll keep you updated if anything changes. And we'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless.